Hey everybody, it's Austin Ward for Lettermen Row, back with another BuckIQ. We've got Ohio State former right tackle, NFL lineman Reid Fragel in here looking at one of the biggest pickups for Ohio State's class here on National Signing Day. Harry Miller, guy who's played tackle, he's played center, so he can play all 5 spots maybe. It's a difficult transition from high school to college, of course, but it looks like this Harry Miller here from Buford, Georgia is going to be somebody that potentially projects in the middle of that offensive line, Reid.
Yeah, as we just spoke about with versatility, he's a guy that I think stands out the most, in my opinion, just watching his film. His body awareness is something that stood out to me. At that age, it's kind of, you can get guys that are just big and not really necessarily comfortable with their body yet. And with him, it looked like he had been playing for 4 more years than anybody else at his level. So he's got this quickness in his feet and just his overall, like I said, body position and his blocks that you'll see on tape here. That I find to be a rare thing at his level.
Sometimes it can be a challenge, though, to project these linemen, Reid, because you know that the physical transformation that you go in from being 17, 18, as impressive as Harry Miller might look on these highlights, not a lot of guys come in as true freshmen ready to play on the offensive lines. Is that fair to say?
That would be fair to say, and I think it's more so of a mental aspect, as we talked about before with Wyatt Davis and his progression of maturity. It's more of a mental aspect of making that jump from high school to freshman year of college. It's so big mentally versus the physical part. They might be ready. So it'll be interesting to see how they pan out.
Well, Ohio State's loading up that pipeline. Got a couple key signatures. Talked about Ryan Jacoby. Now you have Harry Miller. So Reid's going to break down some of these highlights, see what he sees from this talented young center, tackle, guard, most likely center for the Buckeyes. But we'll see what Reid sees, and let's roll the tape. All right, Reid, so you look at Harry Miller. Off the field, I think you might never find a nicer kid. On the field, see somebody just throwing a dude 5 yards.
That's what you love to see, is a guy that's able to flip the switch on and off the field. And those are my favorite kind of players. And obviously the guys that finish the plays like this, just kind of with some meanness, some anger, is awesome to see out of a tackle like that.
It's interesting when you are looking at these high school kids and how they project to Ohio State's offensive line. I mean, he's going to be lining up. He's obviously going to be the most talented offensive lineman at his school. So you want him at left tackle. You probably don't want him playing much at center. But he also does some stuff on defense, and he seems like he's got enough versatility to do a number of different things for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, as we spoke about before, I mean, being able to play any of the interior positions or the outside, jumbo tight end even, as you see there, I mean, he's able to control at the second level like a tight end. Any one of those options he can do, I've all the faith in him in the world at the next level. But as you see moving forward here, you'll see his body awareness that I'm talking about when he has a guy locked up, and his feet and his upper body are kind of, I guess, on pace with each other, which is hard to see at that level of high school.
I mean, this just looks like, we don't know exactly how strong and big some of these kids are, but Harry Miller looks like somebody who's got a Big Ten body already.
You see that control right there is what I'm talking about. It's hard to gauge it off this small of a player he's going up against, but he kind of is able to pull him into himself and not necessarily start falling upwards or lunging forward, which is something I learned at the next level of college. He's already got that down at high school level where he's able to kind of bring himself into control and take that guy to the ground with him, not just falling forward as he's got the guy already pushed back.
He looks like he's just working against a tackling dummy. It must be like pushing a sled down the field.
That's the best feeling in the world. His defensive highlights, honestly, were...
It's really showing some sort of explosion for him that you wouldn't necessarily, I don't know, expect from a high school lineman. I mean, that's not really fair to say, maybe.
That's what I'm talking about when the whole body awareness thing is he's able to fire his hips and hands at the simultaneously. That is kind of hard for some guys to do at the high school level, especially to this tenacity. And there again, it is the control at the second level, finishing it, getting excited.
Pumped up over at Pancake there.
Oh, yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Celebrate every victory.
So moving around here, we actually get a look at the little guard play.
Yep. It's a little on the edge there. Nice.
Right tackle. So he's moving around. How many positions have we seen now? 4 positions? 5?
I think 4 at least.
And not the one where Ohio State is going to expect him to eventually play there. As they move on, Michael Jordan, see what he does with his NFL decision. Josh Myers in the pipeline. We'll see what happens there. But this is, you don't ideally, I think, want Reid a true freshman in that apex position, thinking about some of those guys that you played with and the importance of that center role, but certainly seems to be, through everything we heard throughout the recruiting process, a very mature kid and someone that Ohio State has really high hopes for.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, as we spoke on before. The maturity coming into your freshman year is something that can really separate you from the rest of your class. To be able to step in, especially at the center position.
Looking for extra work there.
Yeah, exactly. He's getting bored out there. But to be able to come in with that maturity is going to separate him from his other classmates. And from everything I've heard and seen on film so far, he seems to have just an advanced learning level, or intelligence, I guess, rather, where you could come in and absolutely take over.
And we've talked before about Michael Jordan and that transition to center. We've seen it with other guards and guys who played multiple spots before going down there, Billy Price and Pat Elflein. And the issue seemed to be at times with Michael Jordan, you know, how tall he was at 6'7", maybe difficult getting some of that lean. Harry Miller is a big kid as well, but he's 6'4", 6'5", a couple inches shorter. Any concerns when you look at this? It looks like he can get that lean going, get some of that bend down in his knees.
Well, a couple of weeks back in the season, I think we talked about, you know, when Michael Jordan was first making the transition, we were worried about, you know, I brought up being 6'7", myself, 6'8", having to go play center. I couldn't imagine doing it. So now you got a guy here that can do both again. It's becoming a normal thing for a guy to be able to play tackle and center, apparently. But he's 3 inches shorter than Michael Jordan, so I think if there was any concern with that height, it went out the window completely after Michael Jordan's hell of a season.
Yeah, he went through that. Wound up getting a couple All-American honors, so Ohio State will probably still not be shy now about moving guys. Don't necessarily have to recruit a true center. You can move some, teach them how to snap. I used to think that it was something you always had to, you know, be drilled on, that you needed a bunch of reps, a bunch of experience, and then Ohio State goes back-to-back with the Remington Trophy winner with Billy Price and Pat Elflein, and Michael Jordan gets All-American honors. So maybe it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's a changing of an era, I think. You can kind of bring in a guy and make and mold him however you want. Just got to find an athletic lineman out there who's smart enough to handle the position.
And Harry Miller looks to have that athleticism on this tape for sure. By all accounts, he's got that intelligence. We'll see when he gets here. Ohio State has got his signature. So Reid Fragel will be breaking him down into the future. Harry Miller joining the Buckeyes. So appreciate Reid hanging out with us again once more to break down Harry Miller for BuckIQ. So Reid, I'm Austin Ward. We'll see you next time at Lettermen Row.